Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM right here on beautiful Vancouver Island. We're so glad that you joined us. In the Zoom booth with me today, I have Cossette Justo Valdes. She is with the Vancouver Island Symphony Orchestra. I am so excited to have her in the booth. She's going to share some really cool stuff. Welcome to the program, Cossette. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Kathy, for having me. And I am inspired and very grateful for being here with you.
Well, thank you. I have been inspired by the symphony for about as long as I can remember. Most of our listeners know that I have a son, and when he was a little boy, it was every Sunday in Vancouver, we would go to the symphony. He'd dress up in his suit, he would open the car door for me, and we'd go off and listen to a performance.
Wow.
And so it's been part of our lives since my son was 6 or 7 years old.
Mhm.
What brought you to the symphony? Tell us your
Oh.
journey.
Well, since I learned we have time, I can tell you a little bit. I was
Yes, yes.
because it's a complex story, actually. I am from Cuba. I was born there and grew up there. So the first time I ever left Cuba, for people to have context, because sometimes people are born in the country, but they leave very young.
Yeah.
I left Cuba for the first time in my life when I was 29 years old.
Wow.
Truly grew up there, right? And Cuba has this system of education that is for free. Yes, very limited, and it used to be very good many decades ago. Truly phenomenal. And as I was a child, I was born in 1983. I was a daughter of amateur musicians. My father was a guitar player and he would sing, accompany himself, and do trios. And so, this traditional Cuban music. And my mother is also a singer. She studied actually dance, folkloric dance. She's a great dancer. And they both wanted the best for me. So, they took me to this exam of basically to be. Uh, Admitted, yes, into this boarding school because we are from a very small town in Cuba, the east of the country, in the province of Holguín. You find then this little town called San Germán at the south of it. And it was also where the Soviet Union collapsed in the exactly the 1990. So around then was very difficult to acquire a spot in this boarding school, and they would distribute it per towns, and every um, couple of years your town would get a spot and they would direct which instrument that the kid selected at the age of 7 years old would be for that instrument. So very limited, truly. One had to be very lucky. So I was very lucky to start studying music there.
Oh,
I chose the piano, but they didn't have enough professors for piano and they put me in violin. At the time, I was silly enough to not, I didn't know, I was a child, but I didn't know of the beauty and value of learning the violin. So I was like, no, I want piano, I want piano. So then after waiting time, I was able to change from violin to piano, and I studied for some years. But then my parents divorced, and it was very difficult for me. And in a moment of not much focus, I didn't pass one exam, and I was 10 years old.
oh my
That
goodness.
system is very strict. Very strict is a Russian school, and if you don't pass one exam, the percentage of all the exams of the year together doesn't allow you to continue truly. And I couldn't continue in piano. So
Oh,
yeah, I know it was very difficult for me, and I played a lot of piano. I still play so much piano, but as a complementary instrument, not as a major for being a soloist or things like that. And then they proposed to me, I was very good at the theory classes and everything, if I wanted to continue in theory studies of music. And I loved it. And I said, yes, yes. And with still, again, a lot of piano playing, but then I would have been studied for being a professor of music, a theory professor, or a musicologist, for example. But the problem is I developed a severe stutter.
Oh my goodness.
At around 7, 8 years old with the divorce of my parents. That's why it was also truly so difficult for me. I
Sure.
started stuttering where I would stutter in every word. So it was the struggle of my life. It has been the struggle of my life. When someone cannot speak well, that marks every second of your existence around others. So that was truly very painful, very difficult for me. And I still worked very hard to I did my classes, but every time I had to do a presentation was really, really difficult. I'm
No
telling you all
kidding.
of this because of my stutter is that I am a conductor. So the thing is that I passed this elemental school level into then conservatory. With again in the admission exam, I did very well, but when speaking orally for the history of music exam, for example, they were like, we cannot understand her, but she knows what she wants to say, but it was really hard to understand me. So they allow me to pass. I get 98 from 100 points in piano and everything. I pass. I pass easily. But with the warning of, well, we're going to let you continue, but it's going to be a problem for you as a professional when you graduate if with your speaking impediment, basically. And I had all their support. Let's see where it goes. Let's keep working, keep trying to improve on that. So one day I'm playing piano actually for the violin class there in Holguín, and the professor Roberto Barriento is a fantastic, still teaching today in that same city with generations of violinists and other string instruments he has formed. I'm playing piano for his class, right? And we are in the break. And I'm telling my friends, my colleagues, and he's there. He's witnessing this. And I say, I really don't know what I'm going to do because I don't want to graduate and then struggle with speaking my whole life. And I want to make music. I truly. And then he said, well, you should be a conductor. And I was like,
Wow.
we didn't have an orchestra. We had never traveled. We would not travel outside of the city because nobody had the resources. Transportation for decades had been very limited in Cuba and no money, etc.
Yeah.
Why go to other cities? You could barely afford to eat and to have the basics, right? So I had never seen an orchestra live. I had seen some VHS,
Yeah.
cassette videos of, I had seen Toscanini, Karajan, and a little bit of Bernstein. That was it. So for me, it was unthinkable. And people ask me, is it gender thing? No, no, all the things, all geographically, tradition, money, access, culturally possible, all the things why I wouldn't ever had imagined to be a conductor. So I said, what? Professor,
No kidding.
do you think I could? Yes. He said, oh, yeah, you have the qualities, you have the character. Apparently, I was a little bit bossy, I was told.
Good
And
for you.
then
Sorry, but good for you.
yeah, so he was like, "Oh, I think you have the qualities. I think you should do it." So we go to the director of the school in Holguín, is this, and ask him how do one study conducting, and that's in the university in La Habana, right? And he said, "Oh, let's call there. Let's find out." And then he he called and he asked, and they told him, well, for the exam, she has to play reduced from the score directly in the piano, and she has to conduct two pianos, and she had to speak about all the history and this and that, all the things one has to do. And I super over prepared for that. Took my two friends, pianists, to La Habana, stayed there in the residency of the students illegally until the dean of the university called me to ask me if I was staying there, and I said yes. And he said, "Okay, let's make it official because you're currently staying there here illegally." That was some days before the exam. I wanted just to
Yes, yes.
be,
Yeah. Yeah.
accommodated to get a feeling of what the school was because it was all very intimidating. It was La Habana, it was the capital, it was really special. So, anyways, I got my spot there. I got in the exams for university in conducting, and that's how I started conducting. So, your son is very lucky, and this is something I always tell to people here when I work for kids or with kids, and is how beautiful, how inspiring it is to see that you could and took the effort and the time to take your son to the symphony since young, because in my case then before, just briefly before I went to the do the exam, I went to the next city. Then somebody helped me, a colleague of mine in school said, "Oh, you can stay with my uncles and they will receive you," and so on. So I went to the next city 4 hours away to see an orchestra and be like, okay, what is this? And I fell in love. So the first time I ever saw a symphony orchestra, again, unlike your son, I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. What an incredible story. Like I got shivers up and down my spine for thinking of and I'm really proud of your teacher. I'm really thrilled that the teacher said to you, listen, you may have an impediment, but that does not mean you stop here. Let's just go in another door. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really critical. And it's funny that you should say that because my son is an older guy now. And he's blessed me with four grandchildren, and my two youngest grandbabies, so seven, well, they're my two oldest grandbabies, I mean, have already started learning how to play the piano.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
they're like 6 and 7 years old.
Yes,
So I'm
amazing.
like, oh my God, like it's incredible to me how, because music changes us, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It enriches your existence in so many levels. You don't have to at all try to be a musician. You just have, it's another language. It's like speaking languages.
Yes.
This one is a very powerful one. I could say the most powerful one.
Yeah.
Mathematics and music are two languages that are translate into so much
And to
in
everything
our
in our
planet.
lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember, throughout my life, there's been significant songs that when I hear them, and I'm sure this is the same for you, you hear that song and it transports you right back to where you were,
Completely.
that moment. But why the symphony? I mean, for some people, rock is great, or country music is great, or, all the
Mhm.
different genres that are out there. But the symphony is a very unique and beautiful butterfly. Tell
Oh.
tell me what it was. Do you recall?
Well, yeah, because when I then decided to, okay, let's try to figure out what this is that I'm gonna be maybe trying to do. And then I traveled to this other town and I met a conductor there, a young conductor at the time, 24 years old he was. Very, very like talented composer, brilliant guy, very bad temper.
Oh,
But funny because I never took him seriously. He would be like yelling, not even at me, like just about everything.
world.
He was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
like grumpy. And then he wasn't my professor, but he was the guy I could see first. And I remember calling him from a public phone with coins to ask him to see me. And he would see me for free, right? Spend time with me and everything to to explain to me what this was about and could I learn
Yeah.
a bit of conducting with him. He gave me some lessons. And in my first lesson of conducting ever, he yelled at me. I remember telling me I look like a bird. He wasn't offending, but he was just like, "Oh, you look like a bird. What is that?" I'm like,
He was being
never,
him. Yeah.
I have no idea what this is." Just waving my arms. So then I saw him rehearse and conduct. He had organized. I was very lucky to go this first time to something very exceptional. He had organized a music festival of new music, but of course he was presenting core repertoire from centuries before. And he had invited guests from all around the world. That for Camagüey, which is the city in the center of the country, that was huge deal, not many resources. And yet he brought some singers and some composers and instrumentalists from Europe and from the States. And they were
Wow.
performing a chamber opera together, contemporary chamber opera. And then I saw the symphony, and the first pieces I ever saw live was Bach Suite Orchestra, a suite for orchestra, number 3, and Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I mean,
Wow.
that to be the very first thing you ever see,
Holy
with
mackerel.
the naivete of not an idea of what to expect by myself, not with parents and not with family. I was just exploring in the middle of the island. What is this? And then I see this symphony happen in front of me. I mean, it was insane. I was so in love. I was so, oh my God, I want to do this. I want to do this. I need to do this. And since then, that's the only job I've ever done. I'm
Oh,
very
and good for you.
thank
And
you.
to take a passion like that and create a career. So you've studied now, you've graduated from university, and you're about to take on your first orchestra. What was that like for you?
Yes, well, in Cuba, we don't do the auditions for getting a job. As I heard of one now that was done in the National Symphony Orchestra for the position of assistant conductor. I heard that there was a sort of audition. Before it wasn't like that. We have in Cuba Institute of Music, and under that Institute of Music there is departments like company called, but departments of classical music. Popular music, and within popular music there is jazz, pop, rock, and popular music in general in Cuba, traditional popular music. So under these departments, the one that has to do with classical music has a department of symphonic music, and these conductors that would have these positions there would be deciding on the graduating students, depending on how they did in school, where to locate them. That's how they do it, right? So at the time I finished graduating from university, the symphony in Holguín, where I come from, was being formed. They were creating a symphony in that city where we didn't have one. So, but there was a conductor there who was living there, and creating it with the team. So they felt, well, this person will be the music director of this orchestra, and 3 hours away is Santiago de Cuba, and this is an orchestra with 46 years at the time of existence, a fantastic concert hall that now has been struggling, reopened and closed because of problems with the roof and so, but the acoustic truly there is perfect for a symphony orchestra.
Mm.
And at the time it was all in good conditions, and they were like, this conductor, Daniel Guzman, who had been there for over 30 years, wants to retire. And we think, I was, as a student in university, I did create ensembles. I premiered a lot of my colleague composers' work. I created an orchestra for my boyfriend at the time who graduated as a trumpet player. We did Haydn trumpet concerto because I did create an orchestra for him. So I would be, how to say, a force of, creating and making things happen. And they were very happy with me, the professors in the university. So I was fortunate to be offered the
Wow.
orchestra in Santiago de Cuba as a successor of Daniel Guzman, who was retiring, to be my first job ever, and then move there to Santiago de Cuba, which I did, be welcomed by everyone, an orchestra with experience, which was great and terrifying because the
Mhm.
maestros, I still call them maestros, the musicians who were there already. And then we created a relationship of 9 years that is loving one. I adore this orchestra and they love me. Unfortunately, since then until today, we have lost many members who have passed away in this orchestra, many, including young ones, to COVID, to other situations of health.
Mm.
And in the first year I worked with this orchestra, the first project we did together was insane. The very first week was a recording, and we recorded some Cuban standard pieces that were orchestrated for symphony, which is a very beautiful concept. And I have kept commissioning such a work. And after that, like a year after or so, we were able to create a video clip. So in that video clip, even musicians who weren't playing in that one piece that the video clip was based on, I was able to kind of alternate the presence of musicians of who would in the image be playing the actual instrument. So I could have the faces of all our musicians in this video clip. Well, I have this video clip in my heart. It's on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, but very good.
If
Send me
you
the
put
link and I'll link it
I
too.
will send you the link. If you put my full name and
Yeah.
you put Santiago de Cuba, it will show up. And there you can see the faces of all our members, even those who
Oh,
at the time were already, well, some were retired and came back because
wow.
we like, I cannot be home, I have to play. And then we would take them back. So we had already some elderly, fantastic players that were very important to us in this video clip. And
No
yes,
kidding.
it's a memory I have forever of this beginning that was very important in my life. in Santiago de Cuba.
When I hear the story, like I said, I have chills just thinking about, the relationships that you had. It's always difficult to lose people that we love, especially those that we've shared a number of years with doing something that is very passionate to us.
Mhm.
Um, Fast forward a little bit, 9 years you were with that orchestra.
Mhm.
Um, you're not in Cuba anymore. You're right here on our beautiful Vancouver Island. So you must have had a jump over to some degree to come into other parts of North America. What did that look like for you?
Well, yes, I had the great support of my orchestra when I had inherent received connections, contacts through guests, and so that Daniel Guzman had before me in this orchestra because he was a
Hmm.
Spanish citizen. So we had many guests from all around the world coming to play with us in Santiago de Cuba.
Wow.
And through all those connections, I was able to then travel for the first time in 2012
Mhm.
to Germany.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to a festival, but just to talk about what we do in Cuba. And I was invited there. And then during my time in Germany, I met a professor, Klaus Arp, who taught conducting in the University of Music in Mannheim. We met, and he said if he liked he watched my videos. I gave him some videos, and he said he liked my conducting, and if I passed the theory exam, I would be able to study my master degree. While some colleagues were studying in La Habana, I had taken everything I could learn from La Habana in my university years there in my bachelor degree. So I wanted to study somewhere else, and then it was possible. Just to tell you, I came back to Cuba, asked for permission in La Habana to leave for 2 years. They said yes, my orchestra supported me. We found someone who could substitute me in the meantime. And then I was able to study in Germany, in Mannheim, my master degree. That was very important to me. As soon as I graduated, my professor passes away, which was very, very difficult for.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know because we had been so close. I learned my German with him because no time to go to a separated German school for, I mean, like a German class for the language. I had to learn while talking about music and this and that, and traveling, which we did together. He took us to many countries to conduct as students. He was fantastic, and then. Well, once I lost him, that was also very difficult. You feel a little bit lost, your professor, your mentor is forever. So of
Yeah.
course you are not like, well, but I graduated
Yeah.
last month, so I don't need you. No, losing him was losing a father, and that was incredibly difficult. Then my sister lived here in Buffalo, in the States, and after struggling there a little bit emotionally, I decided to try with North America to be closer to my sister. And that's what I did. I auditioned in Buffalo and I didn't get that job, but then the actual assistant conductor for that job that I thought I was applying to, but it happened to be a second assistant job. So all the candidates, we were a little bit angry about the lack of clarity for that. When we then talked with him, he said to me, "Oh no, you're gonna get another job. This was not for you. You're gonna see, go to Edmonton and apply there because I just was a candidate there. He had just applied there too, and yeah, they needed to audition again. Anyways, I went all the crazy work I had to do for the visa and everything to come to Canada as a Cuban, and I was able to then audition in Edmonton. And a beautiful story with Edmonton because Edmonton has been the second orchestra where I have had a long-term relationship. They gave me the job on the same day. Normally, you take a
Wonderful.
week to think about. You have
Yeah, yeah,
finalists,
yeah.
right? You have some rounds, and then we were two finalists, and I thought, well, they will take a week, as one does, to decide. But at the time they called us to give feedback, they knew already, and they decided to tell us already. So I got the job on the same day of my audition,
Isn't
which
that fantastic?
Oh, that was the happiness of my life. And then I couldn't believe it. I was looking around, all these kind people, super excellent musicians. A fantastic concert hall, beautiful city. Even it was winter, but I was so happy. I was like embracing everything as I did, and I promised. I remember I promised there that I was never gonna complain about the weather.
No.
I got the job, and I never complained. They would see me like covering and freezing, but I said, "But I'm not complaining. You are complaining."
Yeah, but
So
you're coming
we,
from Cuba, right? Where you're, I mean, Boston is different. Boston is cold, but you're coming from a warm place
I
to
know.
like, yeah.
I know, I know. No, no, it was super, super cool. And then, anyways, that's how I started in Canada, in Edmonton. I was there 6 years as resident conductor, and then first assistant conductor, and then resident conductor. Beautiful years, the most beautiful and happy years of my life. My stutter improved a lot because I had to learn, well, first I had to learn some German, but
Yes, yes.
in Germany, as a conductor, you don't have to speak very much on the stage, but in North America, you do. And there started a beautiful journey for me because I had to learn my English here, which I did 7 years ago.
Wow.
And from there, with the support of my colleagues, my musicians in Edmonton, they helped me a lot by me rehearsing for them what I was going to say during the concert, and special concerts for kids where you have to talk a lot. And they were very supportive. The audience was super supportive too, because my English wasn't very good at first, and it was super hard. And then I learned this language, this English language, without a stutter.
So
Zero
good.
stutter, which is insane.
It is. It's fantastic. And I was an English teacher for nearly, well, for 35 years, and I can tell you, you sound native to me. You don't sound
Oh, you're
French.
too
There is
kind.
absolutely no issues with your English whatsoever. Absolutely
Oh,
not.
you are too kind. But look, I do learn English every day. I am
Yes.
always focused on learning, always
Yes.
focused on correcting myself, improving my pronunciation, which is still a long way to go. But I'm working always on it. I like it. I like to be corrected. And the way I learned here was, yeah, such a thrive for growth that allowed me to first, I had already found my ways to deal with this,
Yes.
which was loving people and not judging those who were
Yeah.
laughing at me or things like that. Because as a child, it happens that people
Yeah.
laugh at
Yeah.
you if you have any type of impediment. And here I just was able to embrace this new journey. Everybody helped me. And so Canada has become my home for so many reasons, right? And one is that. And then the musical journey already had, happened a lot in Cuba and in Germany, but here has been very essential for me, my years in Edmonton. And then after being some years in Edmonton, I was able to apply. Even musicians there in the orchestra told me about this position here, and I was able to apply for this job here with the Vancouver Island Symphony. And it was a beautiful experience, the audition and everything. They took their time, they thought about it, they decided, and we have had three beautiful 3 years, yeah, three seasons together, and we have been able to create a lot of imaginative programming. My relationship with the musicians is fantastic, with the audience. It's beautiful teamwork, and I'm very happy here.
Well, and I have to tell you, I can't believe you and I haven't met in person yet.
I know. I know. Are you coming to the concert?
I am. I'm going to be there. Oh, there are two concerts. I'm going to be well, this is actually recording just a few days before your next symphony, and unfortunately, by the time it airs,
Yes.
we know that it's not
Mhm.
going to. We already know in advance it's going to be amazing. I'm going to
Yes.
Majestic
Yes.
Mozart, which will be on the 14th of March. And I have no doubt it's going to be extraordinary. I just have no doubt whatsoever. But why not tell us a little bit about the one that comes after? Because you have another show.
Yes, yes. We have then in April my very actually last concert with the Vancouver Island Symphony will be on April 25th, Saturday.
Hmm.
And it's titled Romeo and Juliet because we, in the second half of the concert, have the phenomenal work by Sergei Prokofiev, titled Romeo and Juliet, which originally was a ballet. And from there have been suites created.
Mm.
And we are going to perform the suite number 2. It's a fantastic piece and it's strong and it requires the
Hmm.
orchestra and it's very, of course, dramatic, beautiful music for ballet, where we'll have also in this program not only as part of this piece, but I will mention their role in this piece will be for the poets, Titilope Shonuga and
Oh.
Wakefield Brewster. Both are poet laureates of Titilope of Edmonton and Wakefield of Calgary. And I met them during my years in Edmonton, and I worked with them individually in programs I created of new music with poetry, and they were narrating with their strong, fantastic voice of social, discourse and critic, and they are both incredibly powerful.
Mm.
Titilope is from Nigeria and has been living in Edmonton for over 30 years, and Wakefield is he calls himself AKA the lyrical pitbull. And he's a little bit hip hopsy in his delivery, and he's a trained musician. He studied piano. So now having them collaborate together is something that will happen for the first time for them. They admire and love each other from, the distance, but now they will collaborate together. So in Romeo and Juliet, I will have them say some extracts of the words by Shakespeare. So here they will be like actors. They are not going to touch that. It's going to be pure Shakespeare. And we have a ballerina there that I've discovered recently, and I added into this for some of the numbers of this ballet
Mm.
that basically don't need an explanation and is pure dance. So she's going to be dancing to that, and probably with a partner she will bring. And her name is Jemaya Valdés. She was just dancing with us during our Cuban festival. Was a last minute addition. Well, last minute, 2 months before the festival. She prepared beautiful choreographies to the Cuban music. And now I'm like, well, this is a ballet. This is originally a ballet. And now that I found you, I want to have her dance to that too.
Absolutely.
Now, in the first half of the concert, we have two fantastic pieces. One is by Lily Boulanger. Lily Boulanger was a French composer, a sister of the very famous Nadia Boulanger, who was professor of generations of fantastic composers in history that went to Paris to study with her. Her little sister was a genius of composition, and this is her very last piece she wrote when she was 24 years old, and it's 5 minutes. This is like a morning awakening, and it's full of vitality and strength and beauty. And to know that she was struggling with her health so much while she wrote this force of nature of a piece that she wrote is incredible. So it's love. It's a theme of love in this concert, love for life, love,
Mm.
filial, all types of love. And then the poets will be doing performing for us their own poetry, right, in this first half. So that's going to be powerful.
Mm. Very
the,
powerful.
the second piece of this program is a piece written by the composer Gabriela Smith. She's from California, and she has been championed by great conductors and composer as Esa-Pekka Salonen, who is a composer and conductor from Finland. He's incredibly famous and so on. She is talented. She is, very successful already, and I was able to meet her some years ago. This is a piece that she wrote that will explore the sounds of the ocean, because she's she's an activist for nature, and she goes into these hikes by herself, and she could hear the waves, the ocean, the air, and the birds and the whales. So in this powerful piece that in which she uses extended techniques, meaning she writes beyond what is usual and normal for the instruments, we are going to be able here in the island to hear the sounds that we love and hear when we go out in nature. We can hear them in the concert hall.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It just, it's going to be so
Yeah,
unbelievably.
it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be epic. And it happens to be my last concert, so it's gonna
Oh,
be
we're gonna,
extra,
we're gonna
extra.
come back and talk about that because I think it's really important that people go grab a piece of paper and a pen right now so that they can figure out how to get tickets.
Mhm.
So let's do that. We are moving through the program very quickly, but I'm having such a wonderful time with Cossette
Me too.
Justo Valdes, and I'm learning Spanish, and obviously I need a little improvement, but nonetheless, my apologies if I've said your name wrong.
No apologies, it was perfect.
That oh, perfection. And so, what I'm really pleased about, folks, if you have just tuned into Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM, we're talking to an incredible conductor of the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. We are planning, or there's two shows, March 14th. You will probably miss that based on when this is aired. But Romeo and Juliet on April the 25th, 2026 at the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. You need to be able to
Eh,
have pen and paper. Go ahead.
one small correction, Kathy, because people tend to confuse it. Vancouver Island Symphony Orchestra.
Yes, Vancouver Island Symphony. My apologies. Let's make sure we get that right.
To the right orchestra.
Absolutely. Well, because I'm so excited and you can tell.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
So what I need for people to know is that when you give your children and give your family an opportunity to see the symphony, it stays with them forever. We started at the top of the hour with that as being sort of that overlaying theme, we've been able to really break things open with Cossette and how music changed her life. And it certainly changed the lives of my family and almost everybody I know. So do take the time. If you only get to go to one or two concerts a year, make sure that you take the time to go to these two concerts if you can, or really start to investigate what's available for us in the community. If you want to know more, you can reach out to us at Act 3 Media Productions for sure. You can call us at CHLY 101.7 FM, or you can find our information at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching us on Rogers, Cossette is going to be our guest coming up next week, so please do stay tuned. You'll get to have a glimpse at how wonderful this wonderful human is. And so I'm going to leave that to you. Grab yourself a piece of paper and a pen, and when we come back in just a few minutes, we'll give you information on how to get those tickets. Thanks again for being here. It's not very often that I get super tongue-tied. But I am with you because I'm feeling the joy so deeply in what it is that you are doing for our community. And I'm so grateful actually that you decided to join Canada as a resident. And I don't understand why it's only four concerts or why this is your last concert. Can you sort of explain? Is that for the year, the last concert of the year, or are there new things happening, or have you been drawn away to another place?
Yeah, it's a mix of all of that. My tenure ends in this at the end of this season, which ends for the orchestra at the end of April. And yes, I've been very busy already guest conducting in different places, other cities in Canada. I just have with the Calgary Philharmonic now in May, and I have with Winter Symphony in May as well. I did the London Symphonia earlier. I have gone many times to the other orchestras as Saskatoon Symphony and
Wow,
things
wow.
like that. I will be in
Oh,
Regina. I will be in Regina a lot next season. So, it's now a time for me to. This is only Canada. If I mention the places I'm conducting in the States, I will have in Indianapolis my debut now in 2 weeks. And I've been in many, many orchestras in the States already and will be in more as well as in Europe. So
wow.
I have in Vienna in April, just before this last concert we have here, I will be conducting in Vienna the Ton.
Oh my goodness.
I know the
Oh
Tonkuenstler
my
Orchestra.
goodness.
So it's huge for me, and I know I will be very busy. So it's okay. It's okay for the orchestra to. They will start next season a search for their next music director, and I will be traveling the world and conducting many many orchestras.
Well, I'm very excited for you, and I'm super glad that while I hadn't gotten to know you over these last 3 years, I'm certain that you and I are going to get to know each other very well moving forward. No doubt about it.
Please,
And if
yes,
there's
life is not.
anything
Yeah.
I can do to help propel what you're doing in the world, I
Oh,
definitely make sure I can help do that. So just congratulations on such a wonderful and admirable career. And I am, for one, knowing that April is coming at the, quickly, I am very grateful that I get to see as much of the performances as I possibly can between now and then. So, as we move forward with that, we have told people to go get a piece of paper and a pen. How about we
yes.
tell people how to get tickets?
Yes. Oh, okay. You want me to tell people? I don't know.
Yeah.
The
So,
website. Okay. I know that in the website of the, first of all, before I say that, I want to express to you my gratitude for the beautiful work you do. You are a fantastic interviewer. It's the first time we talk, and I feel the same as you do. Please, let's connect. Let's connect beyond this interview in one of the concerts or the two of them and beyond. We should talk and we should
indeed.
totally even hang out.
Absolutely.
I will be very happy to. You're very interesting, truly. And so I
Likewise.
want to thank you for that. And now you asked me about how to get tickets. Well, I know that you go to the website of the Vancouver Island Symphony, and in the symphony at the port.
Mhm.
There's like when you start browsing, you will find a selection of different series, and here you find in Symphony at the Port. Then you go down to the bottom, and you'll find the because I think the previous concerts are still there.
Yes.
You look for in order chronologically, and then you will find these last two, Majestic Mozart and Romeo and Juliet. And there, I assume, since I'm so lucky, I don't have to buy tickets myself. I assume you click and
Button.
you find the thing.
Absolutely. And it is actually quite easy if you just go to the website. It's easy to be able to get your tickets or call the Port Theater directly.
Uh-huh.
They're
Mhm.
really great at helping you out also. So those are the two best ways to do that. But having said that, to follow your career, do you have a website of your own or do you have what is your own website?
I do. So my website is www. Then my full name, Cossette, Cossette, Justo Valdes, Justo, and Valdés, Valdes.com.
Perfect.
If you even just Google my name, if you put Cossette, Justo Valdez, even if you misspell it a little bit, that combination is unique and it will take you to probably my website. And then there in schedule, you can see all the concerts I am doing, yes, in the future and my bio. And you can, which I have to update already. I do it once a month, but I have to put more things there now. And you'll see some photos and you will see some videos of me conducting.
Oh, wonderful. And are you on Facebook and other social media platforms?
I am on that.
Perfect.
Don't I post on Facebook most of my concerts and on Instagram. I'm very bad at it, but I'm trying. I'm
I
trying
hear you.
hard
I got
to.
to be honest with you. Those are the two areas. I'm not yet at social media in a big way. I try, but
Yeah,
it's definitely not.
yeah,
So
me.
I have a different question for you because, I'm remembering when I first was introduced to going to symphony. There are so many incredible musicians on the stage always,
Mhm.
right? You talked about starting playing the piano. You talked about the violin. Uh, first of all, are you still playing the violin? I understand you're still playing the piano, but do you still play with the violin at all, or?
I have one, and I again that was just weeks until I was changed into piano. So I have one violin, and I have taken classes as an adult. I love it. I have one cello too for whenever I will have time. But yes, I don't play them very well. I know I am talented for, let's say, whatever I'm able to do, I can do well, but it's not much what I'm able to do. I would love to find more time
Yeah.
to study these gorgeous instruments. Yeah.
I notice as well, and people are not going to be able to see this, but I know if they close their eyes, they can imagine what a conductor at the front of the stage does, back to audience. And there's an eloquence to the way that you move your hands, that you move the wand in that bridging. I've always been curious, and I know it's probably hard to put into words, but I'm sure being that you are doing this, what is it like for you? Like each movement of your hand is telling someone in the orchestra to do something, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, for someone who doesn't know, uh, how does the orchestra, how do each of the players, because sometimes when I'm watching, sometimes I see them looking up at you and sometimes I don't. So
Yeah.
how do they know when the sign or when the signal is for them? Is that an easy answer? It may not be.
It is, and it is complex itself, but I know what I want to talk to you about. Look, musicians don't study how to interpret a conductor. We studied the technique of conducting, which is the basics, the patterns, and the different articulations and dynamics and so on. But then we incorporate our body language, which is unique for every conductor,
Yes.
and and choices. So there is what the conductor can do, what the conductor finds their body is more difficult for them to do,
Mhm.
so the talents, the strengths, and the flaws the conductor has with their bodies, like being a dancer. I always say it's like being a dancer, being an actor.
Yes.
Some things are easier for you, some things are more difficult. And then is the choices you make on how to show and transmit what you want to transmit. So what we try to transmit with our bodies and with everything in our bodies, including our look, the way we look at the musicians, is the bigger picture of the piece, the structure of the piece, the growth of energy dynamics, the colors, in which colors we want something light, we want something dark, we how long, how short, how is the pace of the music. They have everything written and they know how to play it. But there's many choices to make there. How fast exactly, how uh,
Yes.
articulated, how who in the balance of the orchestra is going to be more important to be featured. Do you want a bit more of trumpet, or do you want to have it softer and reinforce the strings? Depending, sometimes there is no many options. The piece is very clear on what it wants, but some other pieces have that possibility of nuance where you can choose which levels you bring up. So that's another important in rehearsal. So, but what I find magical, although they don't study what to do with our how to interpret our movements, they do. Now they're musicians, they are professionals. They understand the subjectivity of what we're showing and make it all of them into one interpretation, one sound, which is insane.
Hmm.
But when
Hmm.
you go to a group of children, I have conducted groups of children those groups that have never been conducted before. I have been privileged to be the first conductor of some groups of children. The way they react is the same. It's
Really?
crazy. They all breathe because we have to breathe, help them prepare the sound. So they all prepare together and sound together because they're all
Yeah.
in different positions and they don't hear each other sometimes very well because they are far apart. And the way the kids react to you when you show them you want shorter, you just do some gestures that means shorter, just more, you know, like that, more playful or so, or legato, longer, softer. They do it. They change the
Wow.
sound. And now, how do we know? Is what a smile does. What does a smile do? Do we start?
Hmm.
Who explains to us that smiling is positive and is beautiful and is powerful? And if you smile to each other, the other person will smile back. We don't learn that, but it happens. So this is a phenomenon that happens. Is that magical? You cannot explain it, but everybody reacts 80% the same.
I resonate with that. I do. I resonate with that because I remember being, a young person and learning how to play an instrument. I only learned how to play one instrument in my life, and it was because my mother made me and not because I chose it. So I take
That's
that
good.
back. There's two
Mhm.
instruments. My mother loved the sound of the accordion and the organ. Those were the sounds
Oh,
that she
beautiful.
loved, and
Yeah.
they're very beautiful. My teacher, however, when I was a little girl, had very big fingers, and he had a lot of hair in his nose. And I was a very little child, and I was intimidated by him because he was more scary to me, right? And the organ that I learned how to play had the two levels and then had the accordion sort of style. And I wanted to have both hands on the
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah.
And he didn't want that. He wanted me to have the hands over to learn the accordion style of it first. And the theory that went with it. Well, when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you have an idea in your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
I played until I was 9.
Hmm.
And then boys were much more interesting, and that was the end of that. So
Yeah.
there was no more follow through.
Yeah.
However, what I learned from the process is that when a conductor stood in front of anyone that I was with, whether it was a choir practice or whatever, you're right. There were things that would happen with the hand of a start, a subtle emotion, and they have really stuck with me over the years. So while I'm watching you on stage or other conductors on stage, I'm looking at that beautiful majesty that comes with that, right? It's like wings that go out and say, okay, everyone come together. This is
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um if from your perspective, as you're seeing all the elements, it must be very difficult to pick a favorite section or
Oh, yeah.
musical sound, right? It must be very hard.
Yeah, it is. If you mean a section within the orchestra,
Yes, yes.
a favorite, you have a favorite at times, depending
Yeah,
on
depending on the
depending on what
song.
is written for them. You just fall in love with the music that has been written for the orchestra, and within the orchestra, the music that has been written for those groups. And yeah, and you look at them and they know to play louder or at least
Mhm.
sense of protagonism. Not
Yes.
that always mean louder. So yeah, it's incredible. I think the connections you make with musicians, you look at each other, you smile, you have inside jokes for something that happened in the rehearsal in that particular moment of the piece.
Yes.
All these experiences, they are fantastic. They are very connecting as humans, and it's beyond music. It's magical, truly magical. People
Well,
think conductors are in charge. We're not in charge at all. Some think
yeah.
that that's the case truly. Even some conductors think it is the case, or some musicians in the orchestra think the conductor is in charge. I don't think at all is the case. I think it's a very, yeah, we're leaders, but there is so much leadership within the orchestra that we want to have them connecting with each other, sometimes not with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you inspire them to connect to the other instruments. They need each other to listen and to look at, because sometimes they're far away again and they cannot hear what we hear. The conductor gets the most balanced and perfect sound to listen.
Mhm.
The audience too, but the musicians sometimes have the sound from their perspective, from where
Sure.
they're sitting. So, it's incredible what level of trust and love
Yeah.
happens in an orchestra.
If you have just tuned in to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM, thank you for tuning in. And I'm so sorry that our show is just about up because I could talk to Cossette Justo Valdes for many more hours. And
Yeah, me
I'm
too,
sure that
Tiffany.
you could listen for many more hours as well. But that just about ties us up for the end of the program. So we have just a couple minutes left. I know I do have some more questions, but just off the top of my head, you and I'll have coffee. I'll get the rest of those questions
Yeah.
out. And in the meantime, one more time, how do people get tickets?
They go to the website of the Vancouver Island Symphony, or they called the Port Theater, and there they will find out.
Fantastic. And now is my favorite orchestration of the program, Act 3. And
Well,
that is, if you were to imbibe a piece of wisdom to our community in regards to your life experience, your work as a conductor, your experience being on stage. What might that look like for you?
well, if I have to choose something to transmit, it's something I live by and I try to inspire in others, is make your presence be a source of joy, inspiration, and make the others around you feel better about what they bring to the table and who they are and what can be done. Just try to, when you create, and try to create every second, and you're accountable to yourself and you try to be your very best for the service of others, inevitably you succeed. That's the place from where I find success in life happens, because it's not success for yourself, it's success for everyone and everything around you.
Well, you're certainly an inspiration, and I am So delighted to have spent this last hour with you, and I so look forward to the next time we're together. I look forward to meeting you in person on Act Three at Rogers Studio. And until then, I look forward to more conversations offline as you move forward in your world. Everybody, please do make sure you get your tickets for Romeo and Juliet on April the 25th, 2026. Thanks again for listening to Act Three. We'll see you next time. Have yourself an amazing day. Thanks a bunch.